What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another ASC YouTube video. And it's been a bit, but we have a brand new mock draft. And I was planning on doing this in a couple days or so, but we had some big trades go down this morning that completely changed the entire draft. We had Miami finally trade out of 3 like we all knew they were going to do, but the 49ers have jumped up to number 3 overall. And as well, Miami jumped up back into the top 10. I'll get more into that when I get to each of those teams' picks. I think this is going to be the first time I'm actually going to be doing trades in a mock draft. It's only going to be one round for this edition, but in the coming mock drafts, I think I'm going to start doing 2 rounds, and I'm hoping to get a mock draft out per week. That's going to be the plan leading up until the draft. I'm also planning on doing my top 10 prospects at each position video as well in the coming weeks. I'm pretty much done with my tape study, and I know who I like. I know where each one of them's ranked. There will be some minor changes in the coming weeks with pro days and such, but I'm pretty set in stone with my rankings right now. But let's just jump right into this. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe here to All Sports Culture here on YouTube. Follow our Instagram at All Sports Culture. Let's get right into it. So to start off, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence, I don't need to talk about that. Obvious pick. Same with the New York Jets. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know Zach Wilson is my quarterback too, and that hasn't changed at all. And I also don't think they should stick to Sam Darnold. He'd easily be the best quarterback prospect in a lot of other classes. I'm going to go with Zach Wilson. Now we're on to the 49ers, and they now own the 3rd overall pick. Do I think they paid a lot to get here? Yeah, I do. But I also believe that the 49ers, even if they didn't make this move, that they were poised to win the NFC West and potentially make it back to the Super Bowl next year. So I really appreciate the aggressiveness in trying to upgrade the quarterback position. Get yourself a guy that has such a higher ceiling than Jimmy Garoppolo does and makes your team better. And they probably saw Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers this season, and they were like, damn, that's what this offense can look like with a freaking amazing quarterback. You don't trade up to the top 3 to not take a quarterback. And they're giving out two more first-round picks, so they're not going to be picking in the first round until 2024, which is crazy to think, but they're not. And so they better hit on this player. And Justin Fields is my quarterback 3. I don't have him in the top 10 of my prospects, but I still think, obviously, it's a quarterback, so you would weigh differently. And I think he'd be perfect for the 49ers. I mean, any quarterback from Trevor Lawrence to Trey Lance, even Mac Jones, they would all succeed in this Shanahan offense. System just makes it so easy on the quarterback. And honestly, if they took Trey Lance, I wouldn't hate it either. I love Trey Lance. It's just I prefer Justin Fields to him. The top 4 quarterbacks are all so freaking talented. I've seen some talks that Mac Jones could be the pick here. I think that's utterly insane. Even though I like Mac Jones, he's just not worth the top 3 pick at all. But apparently the NFL seems to be a lot higher on him than us as draft fans do. But Justin Fields is the obvious pick here. He has some things to fix, but I think Shanahan could definitely iron those things out, and Fields would definitely take the ceiling of this Niners offense to a whole other level. And we already know that this offense can be lethal when it's fully healthy. The Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Falcons made a sneaky move this offseason with restructuring Matt Ryan's contract. They did a full restructure. So it's going to be a lot harder to move on from him within the next couple of years because they did that. And I didn't expect them to do that, but it seems like Arthur Smith and this new general manager in front office seem to want to commit to Matt Ryan. So I'm sitting here at 4 and 3 quarterbacks off the board. And there are so many teams that still are looking at quarterback. You got Detroit, you got Carolina, you got Denver, potentially Minnesota, New England. All these teams could potentially move up for a QB. And if you're Atlanta sitting here, you have to take advantage of that if you are committed to Matt Ryan, because the top 3 guys are already off the board. So I'm going to trade out here. And who is going to be moving up? Well, I would usually say the Carolina Panthers, because I think they should definitely go for a quarterback as much as they can, but they can't in this situation because San Francisco got to the chase before them. They got to 3rd overall before Carolina could get to them. And now they can't even trade with Atlanta because Atlanta is in division and they're definitely not going to be the ones trading with Carolina to get them their quarterback of the future. The team I have moving up, though, is the Denver Broncos. This team is such a good roster. It's got minimal holes, and I think what they need to upgrade at the most is quarterback. Drew Lock is not it, and Denver would be smart to move up here, and I think Trey Lance in this offense would be absolutely amazing. So I'm going to make this trade happen really quick. It doesn't really matter what I trade here because I'm not going to be doing multiple rounds so that they'll accept it. And obviously this could honestly be the best offer, and I wouldn't hate it. But Trey Lance is going to go to Denver. I love him. I love him in this offense. I think they could do a lot of fun things with him. And with all these weapons they would have, he would have such an easy time developing. And I absolutely love it. And I think Denver should definitely consider this move. On to the Bengals, and they just got best case scenario. They're getting the second best player in the draft, in my opinion, Penei Sewell at number 5 overall. They really haven't done anything to address the offensive line in free agency. I mean, signing Riley Reif, oh man, that's a Band-Aid move. But Penei Sewell, premier physical freak, he'd be amazing to pick up at number 5 overall for them to protect Joe Burrow. Now, Miami, they move out from number 3 back to 12, and then they immediately move up to number 6, which I find kind of interesting. I don't really understand why they decided to go up to number 6 now. I think that move would have been more smart to do on draft night. I guess they didn't want to risk if Trey Lance fall to the Eagles and they can move up. Who really knows? But they decided they have their eyes on specific players, and I think it's Ja'Marr Chase, and Ja'Marr Chase makes a lot of sense here. I mean, they essentially just gave up the draft rights to Penei because they traded behind Cincinnati, so that they're obviously looking at a weapon for Tua. And Ja'Marr Chase is the best one on the board, so I'm going to give him to him. On to Detroit. Detroit is such a weird team to draft for because I think they should not be in the market for a quarterback. I think they should just take best player available. And in this situation, best player available for me is Kyle Pitts. He's my number 3 player overall in this class. He's very close to being number 2. I'm not even kidding. He's so much fun, but they did just take TJ Hawkinson in the top 10. And even though Kyle Pitts is a versatile weapon, you shouldn't take 2 top 10 tight ends. It's not the move. But I'm looking for a trade down here if I am Detroit. I don't know who would trade up in this instance. I think Carolina is perfectly fine staying with where they're at. I don't think anyone in this range is going to move up. Philly obviously traded out to trade out for a reason. Let's have the Chargers trade up. Detroit's moving back to 13, and they're moving up to take Rashawn Slater, who I actually am perfectly okay using a top 5 pick on. I've really come around on Rashawn Slater. He's really damn good. I think I have him at number 6 overall on my board, and I think he'd be perfect to protect Justin Herbert, obviously. And they have made moves on the offensive line this offseason, signing Corey Linsley, and I think adding Rashawn Slater to that offensive line room will be awesome for the Chargers. So moving on to the Carolina Panthers, who already are kind of a loser in this draft because they're still stuck with Teddy Bridgewater. Maybe they could get Deshaun Watson, who really knows, but they're kind of stuck in this really awkward spot. But there's a top 3 player in Kyle Pitts on the board, so you take Kyle Pitts because him in that offense would be absolutely so much fun. Whoever the quarterback may be, he's still going to produce like hell. Atlanta Falcons are on the clock. They traded back from number 4 overall, getting some picks in the process from Denver. They're going to be picking my top defensive player on the board because they need help on the defensive side of the ball. And that's going to be Patrick Surtain, the second best corner in the class, bar none. I cannot believe he ran in the 4.4s. Like, that is a fantastic time for him. Put him alongside AJ Terrell. That'd be a really good cornerback duo for the future, and I really like this pickup for them. There's other guys I was thinking about, maybe not Koromoa because he's kind of that. They kind of got Deion Jones who could possibly do the things that he could do for them. There's edge need with Kwity Paye or another guy I'm looking at that I'll get into for another team soon. But yeah, Patrick Surtain to the Atlanta Falcons. On to the Cowboys. This is interesting. The Cowboys, they need corner bad. And honestly, Dallas, I don't love the value for corner at this spot. Surtain just went, so obviously I'm not feeling Pat Surtain here. So if I'm Dallas, I'm perfectly okay with trading down here for a team that's moving up to get a quarterback or a receiver, whatever it may be. And the teams that are on the clock here that I think would be really interested in moving up to get a quarterback, I think should be the Washington football team. But that obviously won't happen because they're in division. But the other team, though, is the Chicago Bears. Now, Chicago is committed to Andy Dalton, and honestly, that's just not it. And I honestly believe that they should still try and get some youth in that quarterback room. So let's have the Bears move up for their quarterback. But the Bears, seeming that the NFL is a lot higher on Mac Jones than obviously we are, Mac Jones is going to be going to the Chicago Bears at 10th overall. New York Giants, you have had a hell of an offseason signing Kenny Golladay. You brought in Adoree Jackson to fortify that secondary, really making a sneaky top 5 secondary by Gettleman. You extend Leonard Williams. This defense is really good right now, but what I think it's lacking is a top tier edge rusher. You're really missing that outside linebacker for this defense. And although I would absolutely adore Jalen Waddle here, there's a guy on the board that I just absolutely love. He's a top 10 player on my board. I've talked about him a lot before. It's Jalen Phillips. And this is quite easily the best pass rusher in the class, if you ask me. He's so freaking versatile, and he's just a mean freak. Like, he completely abuses everyone he goes against, and even if he does struggle, he gets better throughout the game against them, and I absolutely love him. I think he'd be a great 3-4 outside backer for them. If you want to go Kwity Paye here, totally understand that too. He had a freak pro day, but I just love Jalen Phillips. He's a top 10 player for me, so I'm going to send him to the Giants at number 11. On to the Eagles. Jalen Waddle is still on the board. Easy pick. I mean, they need a weapon. You trade down from 6 overall and you still get a guy you would probably target at 6 overall. Jalen Waddle is my number 2 receiver in this class. He is a freaking beast. He is just electric with the ball in his hands. And I mean, you got Jalen Reagor and Jalen Waddle. I would like Jamar Chase more alongside Jalen Reagor, but Jalen Waddle's value here is too good to pass on. So you take him for Jalen Hurts, I guess, because you're committing to Jalen Hurts now since you're trading out of the top 10. And the Detroit Lions are back on the clock after trading back with the LA Chargers. Yeah, I'm also going to give them a receiver because this receiver room is completely stripped of talent now. I mean, you sign guys like Rashad Perriman and, I don't know, Tyrell Williams. Those are not premier guys. Get yourself an alpha, and that's going to be Devonta Smith. I don't really care. He is a freak of nature. He's gotten faster every year, I feel like. I've watched he's played, and he was a Heisman winner for sure. That probably doesn't happen without Jalen Waddle being hurt, but nonetheless, he's great. And let's move on to the Minnesota Vikings, who are now on the clock. And I mean, Elijah Vera Tucker, he just screams like he would be a great fit for the Vikings right now. He can slot right in on the interior if they want him to. He can play tackle if you want him to. I love these linemen that can just play all across the line. That's why I've moved Slater up my board a lot, and Vera Tucker is the same way. I do like Darrisaw more, but I think the Vikings could use a guy like Vera Tucker who can move all along the offensive line, so I'm going to give him to them at 14. On to the Patriots, who are committing to Cam Newton, and they've had a wild offseason, to say the least. And, you know, this is a really interesting spot for them because they signed receivers, and now they're not going to be getting a premier wide receiver because, obviously, the top 3 are off the board. And I could give them Rashad Bateman here, and I actually might. But if you're going to be playing with Cam, you want to keep the field as close to him as possible. You don't want him taking a shit ton of deep shots because that's just not Cam nowadays. He's a better field general within 15 yards or so. But they need like an absolute dynamic speed threat like a Jalen Waddle. I would actually really love that for them. But that's not going to be the case here. They brought back Kyle Van Noy and a lot of other guys, but that is only like a 1-year deal. And I still truly think that even though Micah Parsons is having some weird things come out about him, it's the Patriots. They don't care about that. They will mold these guys to play to them. And I feel like it's the same case. They're just going to capitalize on his value for how good of a player he is, and they're going to just take him. And even though he's my number 2 linebacker in this class, I'm going to take Micah Parsons here. And we are on the Arizona Cardinals, who are going to take my number 2 corner in this class, which is Greg Newsome. Yeah, you didn't expect that one coming. You probably were thinking Caleb Farley or J.C. Horn. That is not the case. Greg Newsome is my cornerback too. Since the injury news about Caleb Farley came out, and you guys should already have known that J.C. Horn, I'm not as high on J.C. Horn as everyone else. I still like him though. But Greg Newsome, when I watch him, I just see Jair Alexander. And I've watched Jair Alexander up close. I've seen every snap of his career in Green Bay as a Packers fan, and I just see him in Greg Newsome. He's just a taller Jair, and I absolutely love him. I think he'd be great for the Cardinals, who just lost Patrick Peterson, and they're going to be gearing up to make a playoff run. Now the Raiders. The Raiders. You have had the worst offseason of any NFL team this year, for sure. You're selling off your linemen for absolutely nothing. You still haven't really added to the defense other than Yannick Ngakoue. I mean, just a pitiful offseason, if you ask me. And you're seeing the ramifications of their poor decision-making with the 2019 offseason, paying some really random guys a lot of money and then playing them out of position, i.e. LaMarcus Joyner, and then also they just gave up on Trent Brown for some reason. And now their offensive line is just in shambles. Their interior is in shambles. And I think Elijah Vera Tucker is definitely going to be on their radar, but he is not available, obviously. But Christian Darrisaw is. And that's going to be the pick there. They need tackle. So Darrisaw, my number 3 offensive lineman in this class, I'm just going to take him for the Raiders. I don't really need to explain that. They need help on that line. Dolphins. They did just trade Shaq Lawson, though. And I think with the value of Kwity Paye being here, but I also love JOK here. Ooh, this is very difficult. I'm going to give him Kwity Paye. They need edge help, so let's give him arguably the best edge in this class. And yeah, let's just move on to the Washington football team. And Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is on the board. I can't believe I've let him fall this far. He is my number 10 player in this class, I'm pretty sure. I absolutely love him. He's my linebacker 1. They need a linebacker in the middle of that defense. Let's add into that core. Dallas Cowboys are now on the clock, and they trade down, and they still get a guy that they probably were looking at number 10. And that's going to be Caleb Farley, who's my corner 3. Absolutely stellar talent. He's just got some injury concerns right now. But trading down and still getting Caleb Farley, that is a big win for the Dallas Cowboys. And now we are on the Indianapolis Colts. This is very interesting because they've kind of been pretty quiet this offseason. They're deciding to keep their cap space so that they can pay guys that are going to be up for contracts soon. So Quentin Nelson, who's going to get a bag soon. Darius Leonard's also going to get paid really well. Tevin Jenkins is here, and I'm feeling Tevin Jenkins. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Tevin Jenkins here. I think he can kind of fit into that offense really well. He's just a monster. He will run you over. He is very slow, though. I mean, he looks like a snail out there, but he is just so powerful. And there's this play I remember where he just completely runs a guy across the formation out of bounds, and it's just absolutely hilarious. So let's move on to the Tennessee Titans, who have added to their edge room, actually, this offseason with Bud Dupree. And they've also added to that defensive line with D'Amico Autry. So they've made some moves on the defensive side of the ball. But corner, that is rough right now. Wide receiver, that is rough right now because they are missing. They just lost Corey Davis, Adam Humphries. All they have is A.J. Brown. I mean, I know they signed Josh Reynolds, but I mean, what does he really do for you as a wide receiver too? Not much. Here's the thing. Do you want a dynamic threat like Rondale Moore or Kadarius Toney to complement A.J. Brown, or do you want the best receiver available in Rashad Bateman? I'm going to go with Rashad Bateman here because I think his value is too good to pass on. He's a fantastic player. I mean, you would have 2 receiver 1s as your wide receivers. But I mean, nowadays in the NFL, you essentially need 2 receiver ones to, succeed. So I'm going to give them Rashad Bateman there. If you like J.C. Horn there, you can think about J.C. Horn there. But they need corner bad, definitely. So J.C. Horn was definitely an option in my mind there. On to the Jets, who just had a great offseason, in my opinion. I think they did really good. They got Carl Lawson for such a good value, and he's going to be a freaking nature on that defensive line next to Franklin Myers, Quinnen Williams, and Sheldon Rankins. That is going to be amazing with Robert Saleh. But who they're missing is their Leo edge rusher. And there's a guy, because they have D Ford run that in San Francisco, so they're going to need that guy to fill in that role, because Carl Lawson's probably going to be filling in that Nick Bosa 4-3, always his hand in the dirt edge rusher. They're going to need that Leo. So, D Ford always, he could stand up, he can keep his hand in the dirt. You need someone like that. And Azeez Ojulari is so excellent in this system. And I think if you put him in this defense, the Jets defense is going to be so fantastic next year, and they can make a really strong leap. I love the fit, and I think this Jets defense would be poised to be probably a top half league defense. I know they were atrocious last year, but I truly believe with Saleh at the helm, they could definitely be a top 16 defense, maybe even top 10 if they really nail this draft. I also thought about Creed Humphrey here. Azeez Ojulari is such a fantastic fit. I'm not going to pass on that. Steelers, man, you no longer have Steven Nelson. You brought back Juju, so that's all right. But Villanueva is still in the market, so we don't know what's really going to happen with him, if he'll come back or not. They have lost some pieces on the offensive line, for sure. I still think you need a dynamic running back, but I'm not going to take one in the first round for them. They have other pressing needs. J.C. Horn is here. I think I'm going to go with J.C. Horn, but Cosmi is also here. This is going to be tough. I'll go with Cosmi. I like Cosmi more than J.C. Horn. I think Cosmi is a higher positional value, so I'm going to prioritize him in this situation. And the Jags are furious about that because they were wanting Cosmi at that pick. And, the pick always for the Jags has been offensive line for me, because I think it's just too smart to not take an offensive lineman for them. Is there anything different I could do for the Jags? Because I was thinking about J.C. Horn, and then I just remembered they signed Shaq Griffin, so they don't really need J.C. Horn anymore because they got a decent corner duo with him and C.J. Henderson. They need safety really bad. And a guy that I've watched recently is Trayvon Merrick, and he is so fun. So I'm actually going to take Trayvon Merrick here to bolster that secondary. They're going to use a lot of dime packages in this new Jags defense, and Merrick is so perfect to complement in that system. So let's go on to the Cleveland Browns, who still need an edge too. They do. There's a guy on this board that I'm really liking lately, and that's Ronnie Perkins. I love him. Watch him. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that. Oklahoma did not use him to his fullest potential. If you put him in Cleveland next to Myles Garrett, oh my God, that's going to be hell. It's going to be hell. And I mean, you could also go Gregory Rousseau here, but I just want to throw Perkins' name out there. I do. But now we have another edge team that I'm going to pick here, and that's the Baltimore Ravens, who lost Yannick Ngakoue and Matthew Judon. They vowed not to pay them, and they kept Tyus Bowser around for a steal of a contract, may I add. And there's a guy on the board that I really like that is a seamless scheme fit for them, and that is Joseph Ossai. When I watch Joseph Ossai, I just see Clay Matthews, and the Ravens love using their edge rushers like how Joseph Ossai is used. They drop him in coverage a couple times. They blitz him a shit ton. Joseph Ossai would be awesome for the Ravens, and I think they definitely have their eyes on him. And that's their number one priority, and this class is perfect for edge rushers that the Ravens like. Azeez Ojulari is another one like that. Joseph Ossai, I could see them liking, Cam Sample, Joe Tryon, Jason Oweh. I could see him liking all those guys. But Joseph Ossai definitely is a guy to keep your eye on for them. Now we are on to the New Orleans Saints. Marshall Lattimore just got arrested, So I don't know what's going on there. But let's give them probably, yeah, I'll give them JC Horn here. I think I gave them him in my last mock draft. But, you know, Joe Horn's son coming back to New Orleans. So that's kind of fun. Green Bay Packers. This one is interesting because they've had a very tame offseason. They've essentially kept everyone on this team except for Corey Linsley. They brought back Kevin King. Oh, God. They re-signed Aaron Jones to a value contract. Even though I'm not a fan of paying running backs, okay. They've had a very interesting offseason, to say the least, but they're trying to keep this band together, obviously. And they vowed to let Corey Linsley go. They need a long-term tackle. And, you know, corner, I do think they really need a corner. This high, I mean, Eric Stokes would be good for them, but you can get a guy in the second round. I really like Dylan Radunz for them or Creed Humphrey, because Creed Humphrey is an excellent zone center. And I was thinking about him for the Jets earlier. And I think if you want to keep this offensive line of strength, I know you can move Elton Jenkins into center or Lucas Patrick in the center, but I want to keep Elton Jenkins at guard because you don't want your guy that's moving all around the line to be your center. So I'm thinking of Creed Humphrey or Dylan Radunz. I'm going to give him Creed Humphrey just to replace Corey Linsley. But I'm pretty sure they're going to just kick Lucas Patrick in the center for the year and draft a corner here. But Creed Humphrey is excellent scheme fit in this offense. I thought about him for the Jets. I thought the 49ers as a trade down with him, but they did sign Alex Mack. So I decided not to go there. Buffalo Bills. They've managed to, same as the Packers, keep the band together for the most part. They brought back Matt Milano, and I've been drafting like Zaven Collins for them a lot or Zaven Collins, Nick Bolton for them because I've just been expressing that I think Matt Milano wasn't going to be back, but obviously he has been back, and Darrell Williams is back as well. They need corner too, and they also need edge. You know, Greg Rousseau is here, and you know what? I'm going to give him Greg Rousseau. I've warmed up to Greg Rousseau a lot more as of late. I think his value is really good here. It's very good here, actually. So I'm going to take him. Kansas City Chiefs. You are going to capitalize on the Packers not taking Dylan Radunz and take Dylan Radunz. I think the Chiefs are essentially locked into tackle here. They signed Joe Thuney and Kyle Long, which can be a great guard combination. And they brought back one of their old tackles, who was all right last year. They need tackle bad because they released Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz, which is crazy to believe. So Dylan Radunz is my favorite tackle on the board. Perfect for the Chiefs, so I'm going to take him there. Last but not least, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you want to talk about keeping the band together. The Buccaneers have literally kept everyone together on this roster. Everyone is back. I've said in multiple mock drafts, I do not believe that they were going to be able to keep everyone. They kept Godwin, they kept Shaq, they kept Sue, they kept freaking Leonard Fournette, they kept everyone. I don't know how they did it, but they managed to do it. And now it's just a matter of what do they need? They don't need anything. Their roster is literally the best in the NFL. So what could they capitalize on value here? You know, I talked about this with the Chiefs last year. I'm just going to do this for the hell of it. If you're a team with such a fantastic roster and you're at the back end of the first round and you need a running back that could take your offense to a whole other level, because I don't think Leonard Fournette is that guy. He was really good for them in the playoffs, but he is not as dynamic as someone like Travis Etienne or Najee Harris could be for them. I'm going to take Travis Etienne. Tom Brady would absolutely love him, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I know I'm a person who says don't take running backs in the first round, but similar to the Chiefs last year, they're going to take a running back in the first round to capitalize on the value there. That's going to be it for this mock draft. Tell me what you guys think in the comments down below about it. I really appreciate it. Do you like what I did for your team, or who would you have your team take instead of what I did? And hopefully we're going to have more mock drafts and player prospect reports coming in the near future. So be sure to stick around and like the video and subscribe here to All Sports Culture on YouTube to see what's coming up next. Thank you all again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.